Are you losing your authenticity? Do you often feel like that? If you do, you're not alone. A recent survey showed that people want authenticity. They want what is real because increasingly they're feeling like they are lost in a technology driven world. They don't know what's real. It's hard to tell. Am I real on the Zoom screen or am I an AI generated image? Well, we'll give you the answer to that after I introduce myself. I'm Teresa Palmer, and I'm the interim host of Mindful Moments, our Monday motivational self development Own It discussion here on the Own It platform. And I have a panel of 4 people with me today, part of the Own It family. And what they're going to do is they're going to give you their insights, their opinions, and their expertise on, are we losing authenticity? And yes, I'm real. My background isn't. My background is generated, but my face is real. My movements are real. I'm not an AI avatar. And with that said, I'll go to the first person who on my screen is Jeffrey.
Hello there. So, what's your question? Can you repeat your question just one more time so I can be laser focused on the answer?
Okay, my question is, are we losing our authenticity in an AI technology driven world?
Yeah, that's a great question. And uh, my belief is that there is so many things that are changing today. And really, it depends on what your use is with regards to AI. The way I look at this is that just like what did we do before computers were around? We didn't have computers. What did we do when computers started to come out? In fact, the first computer, I looked it up today before the podcast here, is that it was first introduced in at the New York World's Fair in 1964. And look at where we are today. I believe that with this evolution, we are all going through these changes, and our life is a journey. And during that journey, we are presented with different types of opportunities that can help us enhance our ourselves personally and professionally. And from an AI, to get to the direct question, are we losing our authenticity? My belief is that it depends on what you're really utilizing it for, because there are benefits that are available for people out there, especially solo entrepreneurs who are trying to get their message out. The platform and the marketing strategies today are changing, and they are adapting these new technologies. So with that, I believe there's pros and cons with the use of AI. I personally, when I first started, I was against AI, but as I learned the concept of it and what the potential is, I've embraced it and utilized it for my own business model and helped create different, I'll say avatars, as you talk about avatars, because I am in the AI world with the products and services that I'm representing from a metaverse perspective. And it does help people, get into that mode of what I'm doing and what I'm marketing. So hopefully that answers it from my perspective, because I'm in a different world with regards to what I'm doing than the average individual who's using AI.
Okay, thank you for those insights. Uh, yeah, I think about it when you have AI generated videos,
Mhm.
audios. A lot of people will say, well, it's my voice, it's really me. But my question really is it really you? Because you're using something that's generating, and it could change your voice. I think I've seen AI photos, they never look like the person. They try to make you look 20 years younger, the perfect face, the perfect hair, the perfect body. And that's not, is that what we're trying to sell? Is that what our message is about? And with that said, I'll let Nathaniel take the stage and give us his insights on authenticity in AI.
Wow. It's from my perspective, is not good. I mean, I think AI, there's a good side to AI and then there's a negative side to AI. But in terms of the average person understanding AI and what's being put out into the marketplace, unfortunately, there are more negative people that are putting out negative messages or information. All right. So AI itself is nothing but a tool. When you add the people element to it, the users of the tool, then it becomes either a good thing or a corrupt thing. And I spent time going through the internet, just looking at looking at a lot of the AI generated messages that are out there. And there's a lot of stuff that's out there that's just blatantly not true. And so there's a lot of false information that people are getting and taking it as gospel. So discernment, really important. You got to pick and choose what you're going to listen to, what you're going to follow, and what you believe to be real. And that's kind of hard because if you don't have a technology background, you may not be able to differentiate between what's real and what's not real. So it's something that I'm still working through on my own to figure out how I really feel about it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people share those same concerns and have that same feeling that you do. And what's interesting is in the publishing world right now, if you submit to any publishing company or any agency a manuscript, a book proposal, they have AI detectors, and you're automatically disqualified if your proposal or your manuscript is AI generated. It's not to say you can't use the ideas, but you have to use it in your own voice. You can't use it with AI. And it's so simple to get caught up in that because you could literally write a book proposal in 10 minutes if you use AI. It'll give you everything you need, but it's not you. And the same thing with book sales. There's filters on that. And especially with things like the New York Times bestsellers list, they actually have detectors in there of who bought bulk books. Like, say you make the New York Times bestseller list and you have one company that purchases, say, 500,000 books, gets you on the New York Times bestseller. You're not really a New York Times bestseller because the mechanism the New York Times Literary Committee has for this singles you out as cheating and not being authentic. And they're not authentic book sales because even though you sold that many, you sold it to one individual and they know you're just trying to get the sales. So, we really have to be careful too, because there's all these built-in filters now with companies, organizations looking at resumes, everything that could detect whether you have put the time and the effort in or if it's AI generated. If it is, you're losing your authenticity. And then the question becomes, do you care? And with that, I'll go to Jacqueline LuLu Brown.
You're muted, Jacqueline.
Come off mute. Greetings, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here. And this is a great topic. It really is. And I'm going to be speaking as someone, and I want to clarify because people are going to be like, what? She really said that? But I am someone that is going to say some things, but I'm speaking as someone that has built frameworks, have uh, built ecosystems, leadership ecosystems, innovation, and innovation that adds value from 40 plus years in technology. So I am definitely not AI agnostic, but I will say this. We are in a very unclear, and I'm going to say somewhat dangerous time, because when you think about AI, there's no precedent right now. If somebody does something or emulates you and you feel that it's detrimental to your reputation, you literally have to go to court to have that taken down. There's a lot of challenges, because right now AI really is a free for all. I was at an event and there were a panel of lawyers there. And one of the attorneys said, "We are just figuring all of this out. There is absolutely no precedent that says, okay, you can't do this, but you can do that." Now, people can come after you for plagiarizing. And I do know that there are software tools out there that you can, whether it's an article or you're creating a masterclass or a book, as Teresa pointed out, it will run, that software will detect if these are original ideas, or is there plagiarism, or is it strictly an AI voice. And so I think when we talk about authenticity, let's kind of think about this. AI is not threatening authenticity. Actually, what it's doing, it's exposing it. It's exposing, because when people run to I think they don't realize that it's really showing that you didn't have any authenticity, because your voice, AI is nothing more than a tool, as everyone knows, but it's how you are utilizing the tool. Are you utilizing the tools? Like computers came on the scene. We utilize the computer for our benefit. So it's almost like when I worked in corporate, and you would have a lot of really bright technology folks that would come up with these awesome applications, and they wouldn't understand why the business teams wouldn't fund them. Well, it's perfect. It does a lot of things. And what I would say to them is that here's the key: innovation has to add value. Now, that's one of my trademark themes for the master classes that I teach. The innovation has to add value, not replace something. And if we are not, AI is a learning tool. And if we are not teaching AI who we are authentically, it can't respond with who we are authentically. And so, Teresa, I think that you've brought up a very, very important piece here, is that the depth of what we receive from AI is directly proportional to the depth of who we are. When you are taking the time to say, what is it that I want to convey? And I'm not talking about the nice little cartoons and the little funny things that they do to make jokes and things like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm at the serious level of where Teresa's trying to get today with, is your book authentic? Or are you just trying to throw something out there, see if it sticks? Are you just throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks? And how much of what sticks is going to generate revenue? Now, someone will say that's a good business practice. Well, again, that depends on your business acumen and your business integrity. If that's the way that, if that's your purpose, I'm just going to throw some stuff out, whatever sticks. I'm going to see how much money I can pull in from that. Well, again, the depth of the AI, it's not that it's taking away your authenticity. Maybe you didn't have one to begin with. Maybe you don't know who you are. Maybe your identity hasn't been discovered. You could be 80 years old, you could be 17 years old. All of these things matter. And when they're not understood, they scare people off that can benefit from this. The faith based world, especially elderly people, they have so much to do. There's so many programs, and I know Dr. Rain can identify with this. We have more things to do than we can really keep up with because of the needs of the people. We are servants. And there is a place for us to teach our elders and the others how they can embrace AI. Simple things like you can take, instead of rewriting the same, you have the same program every week. And instead of rewriting that and taking time, these are the things that you can teach AI. This is who you were authentically. This is who this faith-based community is. So they have this stack of manual papers. All of that is their authenticity. That is their IP, their intellectual property. They own it. Now, there's nothing wrong with feeding that to AI so that it can automatically, through automation, generate messages and keep everybody informed. And that's just one example. But notice what I said, it's their intellectual property, and they're only using AI as a automation mechanism. Maybe they need some help with sorting through an idea. They may need to do some research. Some of us here are old enough to know that we used to go to the library and we've got books everywhere. Books, books, books. My screen is blurred because I'm in the process of working on a project and I'm pulling because I'm looking for something. And I literally have hundreds of books all over the place, boxes and things that I've been tearing out because I'm looking for something. Now, today, you can go in, you're not taken away from your authenticity. You can actually go in and say, I remember such and such a time. You feed the information and you ask them, can they find it? The next thing you know, now you have something like, okay, that's what I'm looking for. So instead of looking in a needle, for a needle in a haystack, now you've solicited AI to help you. It's not giving you and replacing you. You already have it. You just need some help because as adults, we accumulate so much stuff. So I think we have to be careful that if you didn't have an identity to begin with, yeah, guess what? You're going to look like that person that is replacing yourself with AI. AI is a learning tool. What you feed it is what it's going to put out. And if you feed it something erroneous, it's going to come back and tell you, I can't find that. I don't understand. I can't find anywhere. So,
Yeah. I think
about that.
Yeah, you bring up a good point about the research, because don't forget before, I'm talking about after libraries, and yes, I've been around for libraries, but after that with computers, you put in a search, and if you're looking for something, the computer, which is basically like an AI, would come up and it would give you what you're looking for.
Right.
The problem occurs is if, say, I'm writing a book and I upload my manuscript into an AI program, AI software, Chat GPT, Copilot, anything like that, Claude, what starts to happen is it could change some of those things without really meaning to, and it also becomes their property. You no longer own that exclusively, and that's a pretty gray area, but there's nothing that says that part of your manuscript can't appear then in somebody else's manuscript who uploads something into their AI program or is used as an ad for something. Maybe you're researching medication. Maybe you're doing something like that. You upload things into AI. This is what I'm writing. Could you tighten this up, or could you do this? Boom, they come out with something, but maybe then that information you're feeding it is going to be used elsewhere. And there's nothing that you could really do about it. As far as lack of identity, I think AI feeds on people without an identity because it gives them an identity. You could get an avatar, you could create a picture of yourself of who you want to be. And you see a lot of that on social media with people getting in and out of these very expensive cars, taking pictures where they're sunning themselves on a tropical island, where they're wheeling and dealing with all the mega giants and corporations. And really, none of that's real, but it's giving somebody an identity. And I will keep quiet now and go on to Dr. Durain.
Well, before you go on to me, and good morning, everyone, Dr. Jeffrey and Nathaniel had a comment, so I'm going to let them give their comments before I speak, because I don't want them to get off track from what LuLu was saying and what comment they wanted to make.
Yeah, no, thank you, Dr. Durain. LuLu, you brought up some really excellent points, and I've talked to many people today who don't know what a knowledge base is.
Right. Thank you. That's the word.
Right. And a knowledge base is I'm going to say it's a repository that you feed AI to teach it who you are, what you do, why you do what you do, from previous books that you've written, previous articles, and your business model, everything. You're feeding it to train the AI to be a tool. And that is what I find advantageous for so many of us, because there is just so much going on today that we need to, I find that I need that assistance, and AI does help me from time to time. When I'm stuck at something, I've fed my AI a ton of things, and I'm like, I'm stuck on XYZ. Can you help me out with rephrasing this or putting it into my own voice, because they've already got all this information. Mm-hmm. So that is a positive aspect of AI from a business perspective. Of course, Teresa, you bring up some really great points about the authenticity, but I think about the movies that we see today. They do things with AI, they change things. And this is part of what is today, what's really happening today. So do we embrace it? Do we, reject it? It's a matter of for me, it was a matter of just really understanding the realness. However, I will say there's a lot of negativity about AI, depending on how it's used, because Nathaniel talked about that. Go ahead, Nathaniel.
Thank you. I just, as I'm sitting here and I'm listening, my mind is going back in time when I was Associate Dean of Students. And I remember with my colleagues, and I chose not to do it. And this is a conversation that you and I have had, Teresa. My colleagues back then, and probably still do, had teaching assistants, PAs, and those PAs really wrote the materials for the books that they put their names on. So when we talk about authentic, the old way, was that really authentic that Dr. So-and-so put out a book? Or was that the work of the students that was put out there? And AI as a tool can now identify, did that person really write this? Or did that come from somewhere else, right? And then the thought process behind that for me is, when we look at authenticness, there's nothing new under the sun. And I've contributed to books, I've written books, and the one truth that I find is there's nothing that I have written in my books or that I have contributed to other people's books that has not already been said and done. It was just said and done from me and my perspective and in my voice, but the information is not new. So like I said, there's a whole lot of exploring that needs to go into this for us to figure this stuff out. So Dr. Rain, thank you so much for letting Jeff and I jump into that.
Thank you.
I am sure I am the newest kid on the block in terms of AI. I haven't established a knowledge base, and I just think I'm probably too full of myself, thinking that I cannot be duplicated and AI can't do it as well as I can. AI cannot be the diva. It just cannot be. But when we look at that, my concern is not only will it take our authenticity, but will it take our voice? Will it replace us at some point where we can just go and push a button and it's generated? Now, Teresa gave a good point. I didn't know that if AI generated that it's, or Chat GPT, that it's not yours. Now, that's information that I didn't know. So when we look at that, we got to look at the pros and cons. My concern is when AI takes people's jobs. That's my heart. Are we using these AI generated conversations? You know, I'm going to be very honest. I'm very irritated when I call and I'm talking to a machine. And at first I don't realize it's a machine until I hear like a lag. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is not even a real person. That irritates me to no end, because what that says to me is you just took somebody's job. And that's where I come from. I don't want to see us replaced by machines, AI, or whatever tools we're using, because it seems like the more innovation we have, the more people are losing their jobs. That's my only concern. If you can press a button and it can take your voice with what you poured into it and create something that's authentically you, then I think that's a good idea. But if it's not authentically you, then I would say that is definitely one of the cons with using AI in any area. My number one concern is I do not want it to replace people. I love the movies and all the different graphics we see. I like the little cartoons that they put on. They're very cute, especially when, they got the little kids saying gospel songs and they're moving. Reality, AI can't preach like I preach. I don't care how much of myself I pour in there. You need a person. I need a person.
Amen.
I think that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I think you bring up some good points. And also the fact that I think a lot of times when AI is used, especially in any kind of business sector, and that could be a company of 1 million or it could be one person, I think what happens is it's used at that point to just get information out, to generate something, and to generate income. There was something on the news about it, that even very small businesses are using AI. And the thing is, it said they don't care about their consumers. They just want people to react to it, to get the message out, and to be able to do more things in less time. And at that point, we're already overloaded. We already do too many things at one time, most of us. Some of us don't. But if we start using AI just to generate, say I'm giving a talk or I'm doing a master class, if I just use that AI to generate what I'm doing, am I being personal with the people that I want to resonate with? I don't think so, because I'm just putting it out in mass numbers. Somebody said just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. And I think that's where we do lose our authenticity. And I think that's why a lot of times in business, we don't get trusted, because people don't know, why are we really doing this? And if we really take the time to be more personal, I'm not saying spend 24/7 creating something for your course or creating a video, But which would you rather see? If you go on a social media, would you rather see a group like we have speaking, actual people, or would you prefer to just take a snapshot of this, a screenshot, add some AI dialogue, even if it's in our voices, and an AI video, and just say it's us, which is really more authentic? And I think that's the thing that I always get stuck on. We're going to go over a little bit. So if everybody has like 10 more minutes, that's great.
Absolutely.
Because I think it's hard to do this in just a 30-minute time slot, and I hope we're not losing anyone who is listening to this because of time restraints. So I'm going to go back to you, Jeffrey, and tell us more about AI and authenticity.
Yeah, so before I answer that question, Lulu had something to add to Dr. Derain's.
Yes. You know, everyone, and this is really to add to what everyone is saying, is that the difference between AI replacing and AI helping is what Dr. Derain said, and Jeffrey, and Nathaniel, and you yourself, Teresa, is that, excuse me, this is not a laziness. You know, lazy use of AI is, generic output, gimmicks. Aligned usage is your structured, authentic prompts, your intentional refinement. And again, your intellectual property. And I keep bringing that up because you're going to see here very soon, you're going to see a shift, and you are going to see some precedents be added because this is so broad and so wide. You are going to see some rules come around it. And those rules are going to protect your intellectual property. Teresa, you had mentioned about how somebody can take, you don't own it. Again, it goes to knowing how to interact with AI. The next time you interact with AI, you tell AI, this is my intellectual property. I am trademarking it. And no one can now, because remember, it is a big knowledge base. It is just a big tank that has lots and lots of data in it. And we live in a world where this data can be parsed and searched at the speed of light. But it's how we interact. Have you told AI, this is my intellectual property, I'm trademarking it? Because believe you me, it's going to remember your login, your sign on, and that you said that. Not only that, you have now protected yourself because you now have proof. And I admonish everyone, I don't care what AI you're using, have a paid one, because the memory is what you want protected. It's not going to do you any good if you're using, oh, I'm going to use this one, it's free for 30 days. Oh, I'm going to move on to this one, it's free for 30 days. You've done nothing to protect yourself. If you have a paid account, you're going to have a memory, and they're going to give you a certain amount of space. And when that space is up, you'll either delete something, you'll download it and put it somewhere else, but you want to keep a record. So I know this is not an AI class, but you want to know something? I really think from a diverse point of view, we ought to think about getting together and talking and teaching in a master class how we effectively use it. Jeffrey effectively uses it. Dr. Rain effectively uses it. And I think that we all can effectively utilize it. It's the knowledge that we don't have in how to protect yourself, how to trademark what you're putting in there, so that when things do come to a place of rules and regulation and somebody else is using, you have that. And it will respond to you. I go back and start playing with it and saying things like trademark. It will come back to you and it will remind you. And you can tell it, I want these words, trademark, this is me. Now, if you're soliciting something that you don't want to have to go, to the library, or you don't want to have to keep typing into Google search forever, you can ask it a question. And when it comes back from giving you some information, or if you say, I might be a little too harsh, can you rewrite this in a more subtle way? If that's not your voice, you type back and say, that's not me. I want it subtle, but I want it to sound like me. These are a lot of things that I think we don't want people to be fearful, but I think we do need to teach people how to be authentic, because we've got the negative side and then we've got the positive side. And if we can help people to understand how to protect themselves, how to learn more about the tool, how to tap into it better, and also make sure that it's your authenticity, because it can be yours and you will still own it. And for those that want to take the fast path, you know what? There's really nothing that we can do. The only thing we can do is stay authentic and in integrity and keep our business acumen. Now, I'll say this, and I'm done. The pictures. Now, I'll be honest with you. You have to be a really good expert at AI for it to look just like you. If you upload a picture and you say, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, sometimes it won't look like you. Sometimes you have to really play with it and you have to really keep going with it. So for me, I don't use it for that purpose. I use my own photos. Now here's the caveat. My husband's a professional photographer. If you go on my page, nothing that you see that I put out is AI generated. That's me. But he's a professional photographer. And so everybody doesn't have that luxury. They want to look good. They want to, they want to attract the positive attention. And so some need to do that with AI. But you know what? Again, you got to teach it. You have to have the knowledge of how to interact with it. You tell it, don't change this, don't change that. And when it comes back, that's not what I look like. That's not my face. Let me give you another picture. Let me give you another picture. And if you upload enough pictures, it's just like when you go to the airport, it scans and it knows, all this technology is there when you think about it. And by the way, AI goes all the way back to, 30 years ago when
1981.
Yes, when you used to call the bank and it gave you your balance and then it said, would you like this? Would you like that? They used to call them VRU systems then, virtual response units. I used to program and work on all this stuff. So coming through technology for 40 years, believe you me, I saw this technology long before we got to where we are now. But how did we get people to embrace it? What's the value add? And the value add wasn't always replacing someone, because when technology advances, now we teach people to move on to their needs. And so there has to be a mechanism that invests in people being taught and brought up with the technology, not just eliminating them. So everything is a mindset, everything is how we approach it. But remember, we, the consumers, are the ones that are going to drive the market. So when we get together and we help one another and we teach one another how to utilize these tools, not to replace ourselves. And when we teach ourselves, first of all, you're not going to go to AI for authenticity if you know who you are. I love when Dr. Derail says, nobody's the diva. I know I am the baddest and the architect of leadership. I learned it, the good, the bad, the ugly. I mean, I'm back there in that movie with Clint Eastwood, the good, the bad, the ugly. And I've seen it all and I've been through it all. I've rode the horse through it all. And so from that perspective, I have a gifting that now I can teach someone. You think you know your authenticity. You think you know your identity. No, you really don't. Those are the people that Jeffrey and Dr. Rain and Teresa and Daniel, those are the people that we need to be helping so that they're utilizing these tools for benefit and not becoming somebody else for the rest of their life. Can you imagine what that's like? You're constantly being someone else and never living in your own unique individual purpose. Every one of us on this call is that's part of why we're here. We know how to teach them how to not lose themselves. So I like that. And I don't know, I'm game if anybody wants to do a masterclass sometime. I don't know, April.
Yeah,
I think you need to do one in the Dominican Republic. That was going to be my suggestion. That needs to be one of our workshops, ma'am.
Okay, well, I'm gonna let you talk to Boss about that. I'm gonna let you talk to Boss Lady on that one.
You know what? In the interest of time, we do need to move on because we still need to hear from Jeffrey, Nathaniel, and Dr. Durain in that order. So,
and thank you, Lulu. You bring up some really great points in your last commentary there. Very quickly, you know, you talk about aligned usage and your intellectual property. I look at this as a creative extension of yourself. You're using this tool to, you know, create those extensions. And Teresa, you were talking earlier about authenticity, about businesses. Well, it all started out with word of mouth. That's how you started to get your name out and what you do and who you are. Then it went to newspapers. Then it went to TV and radio. Well, it probably went to radio first and then TV. And then we have the internet. Now we've got where we are today. So we're in this paradigm shift as I talk to people about things are changing. They're changing rapidly. And you think back decades ago when Microsoft, Apple, Netflix, and Amazon came out with their technologies, it was revolutionary. And people were like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. It'll never last. It'll, you know, just fall to the wayside. Where are they today? They're industry giants. That's exactly where we are today with the technologies that we have today on the blockchain. And this is that foundation. We're in that era where there are a lot of opportunities. And just like Lulu has talked about, it's about training the AI about who you are and everything about you. I'm feeding it stories from when I was a kid, all about my abuse that I went through, and then the the chemical dependency, all that stuff, so that it has a memory. Like she said, it keeps that memory, so it's there, so that it knows my past and it knows who I am. And so with that, I do truly believe that at some point, I mean, today it's up and down with that authentic piece. So we're playing with those ideas. Last thing I'll say is, with me representing and looking at the metaverse, which is a huge product line that we're developing 5 continents in the metaverse, it's all AI driven. So I'm acclimating to that type of an environment that is being offered to people out there from an educational perspective, from a real estate perspective, from a gaming perspective, from content creation and development. We're creating our own development classrooms in AI for that, and then also entertainment, because the future is you're going to go into the metaverse and be able to attend concerts over in Rome, or go attend a Broadway show through the metaverse. And this is where this is going. So, Nathaniel, you're next.
Okay, so I got 3 points, and I'll keep them brief, but I'm going to throw a monkey wrench into the mix because I want people to have to think about stuff, right? I want to leave people with something to think about. So I think that this AI is mirror on the wall. It's having us look in the mirror and reflect on who we are. And a lot of it is good. So some of it is good and a lot of it is bad. And if we look at the world as it exists, the way we knew it through our generation, because there's 5 generations out there now. So we can talk till we blue in the face. Some of what we say is not resonating with a couple of those generations, right? So everybody has different influencers for their generation that they're listening to. So if you have 95% of the world population that operate out of shame, blame, and justification, and 5% of the world operating out of responsibility, I would say as educators, we got a big job in front of us. And it's an uphill battle to try to navigate through all this stuff. We're going to be talking and talking and talking. And how do we get past, through to that other 95%? I don't know what the answer is. But we got to honestly look at what it is that we're confronted with, what we're dealing with, and what our goals are in terms of trying to get through and convert or change, or at least get people to start critically thinking about this particular subject matter and others. And last is, it all is going to come down to value system. Whatever your value system is, that's what's going to be reflective in AI. Just like that's what's reflected in your spirituality, it's reflective in your money. The value system of people is going to be reflective in AI. So, Dr. Rain, tie us up.
I have one comment to make. I have got to do my homework because this is not my wheelhouse, and I feel like a fish out of water. You guys are talking about things, and I was like, I had no clue. Never done that. So that, I guess I'm going to give myself a homework assignment. I don't have Chat GPT, so I guess I need to get it. So the next time we have this conversation, I can have more to input. I don't have an account. I have someone that I'm dealing with that has cancer. And so she has Chat GPT, and I can go on there and say, I need a meal for her based on what's in there. Give me a meal plan for the week. But that's about all that I do. I don't have my own account, but I'm sure the next time we talk, I will, because I need to get on board. You guys seem to be using this and using it very effectively. And so I know there are pros and cons about it, but I need to make sure I have a better knowledge base, literally, and a better knowledge base within the Chat GPT.
Yeah, and I think it's all about education. I think it's all about what we want to use things for. And by we, I mean a collective we, not just us on the panel. And I think this deserves more conversation. I think it's difficult, even before AI came out. How many people really were authentic? How many people go through their life and they really don't know who they are? And some of them are very successful. You don't always have to have an identity and be authentic. You could be out there more in a fantasy world or changing your identity, changing things, and it could still work for you. So, what's right, what's wrong? I don't think there is a right. I don't think there is a wrong. Is there a middle ground? I'm not even too sure there's a middle ground with all of this, but we'll save that conversation for another time. So thank you, everyone, for joining us, for sticking with us as we went over our allotted time. But I think it is important when there's things to say to be able to have not only the time, but the opportunity to say them. So thank you, everyone, for listening to us. And for those that will be watching the replay, thank you.
Thank you, Teresa, for hosting.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone. Good to see
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.